Why do you think Jesus chose wild-spirited men all through the Bible? James and John were so nuts that Jesus nicknames the sons of thunder. Moses killed a dude, got banished to Midian, and then when God tells him to go back, he says no. David slept with his buddy's wife, got her pregnant, killed off the buddy in war, and God then calls him a man after his own heart. And Jesus chose a ragtag group of 12 teenage fishermen to be his disciples. Oh, and by the way, Simon was a terrorist, Matthew was a tax collector. What are we doing here, Jesus? These are not the first round draft picks, but Jesus spent all night praying for who should follow him. And what he did is he chose men and women that were just wild enough to answer the call of discipleship. Jesus would rather tame a Mustang than inspire a mule. The reason Jesus chooses wild-spirited people is because of that word itself, meekness. That root of that word literally means to tame a wild Mustang. It's not meek as a mouse, it's meek as a Mustang. When the master gets your heart after you've been hustling and grazing in the wildlands, autonomous, and all of a sudden he gets your heart and you put the saddle on your back and a bit in your mouth and you say, Lord, I'll go wherever you tell me to go. I'll say whatever you tell me to say. I'll run 30 miles an hour into battle. And I'm not fazed by the flaming arrows because you got me. You trust him so much. That's when you become meek. And guess what happens when you become meek? You inherit the earth. And guess what? You're not inheriting the earth because it's something that is valuable to you. You're like Moses getting right up to the promised land. And Jesus is like, here's the promised land. And you're like, Lord, if your presence doesn't go with me, I don't want it. You find that the gift is in the communing with your master. And he's the master. You're the Mustang. When you get to that place where you put it all on the altar, like these men and women did, like these wild ones that Jesus chose, that's when all of a sudden he'll send you on an adventure. He'll say, bridle up, baby, let's go. I've got people for you to reach. I've got a gospel for you to preach. I've got a calling on your life. And I know I can trust you because you've lost your life. That's the call to the Christian. It's to become meek. It's to become humble. It's to put the saddle on your back and say, Lord, I will go to war. That's why if you've got a past on you, if you're a little wild, get ready. He's got an adventure for you. And he chooses the wild ones above the mules, above the Pharisees, above the religious people that really aren't with him in spirit, that aren't ready to sell it all and give it to the poor, that really aren't ready to sell the field just to buy the treasure in it. That's why God wants to call the wild ones, because he's ready. If you're ready, he's ready. And he's like, listen up. There's people out there waiting for you. There's a calling and there's an adventure. And I'm right there with you. You put that bit in your mouth and that saddle on your back, and I will take you places you never could have imagined. But guess what? It's going to be costly. It's going to cost you your life. But in return, I'll give you tenfold what you could have ever imagined.